The question was whether I had any advice for President Macron as outgoing G7 chair. The short answer is no. In the following respects, obviously he's an extremely experienced statesman. Has known, for example, the question was specifically with respect to President Trump. They've known each other. They were both presidents during Mr. Trump's first term, and I believe that President Macron's style, which is direct, it's concrete, and it's ambitious, is well suited to making progress with all G7 partners, very much including President Trump.
Prime Minister Carney, Mike Lecouteur with CTV News. When you consider that in your speech in Davos, you had called on middle powers to band together, and then even today you spoke about a world dominated by hegemonic powers. How do you see that playing out within the G7?
Yeah, I think, to be clear, and if you look at the speech, I've never advocated that all of a sudden there was going to be a band of middle powers, the M20 or something like that. But the point that I made, and I think you do see this concretizing, if I can invent that verb. Hopefully it's a verb. You can double check that, David. You see it concretizing in our bilateral relations between Canada and France and relations with Europe. So just to recap one element of Davos, which is we talk in terms of variable geometry. So different partnerships with different groups of countries for different issues. Sometimes it's for outcomes, like the Coalition of the Willing, peace in Ukraine, sustainable peace in Ukraine. Often it is in bilateral relations, building up what we call strategic capabilities. So in areas, the obvious ones are in energy, in food, defense, but it also extends into artificial intelligence, in the future quantum, space technologies, certain elements of defense technologies. And so a lot of what we've been doing over the course of the last year with France, and others, but very much with France, has been deepening those relationships. So for example, in critical minerals, there are 12 critical minerals and rare earths that are on France's top priority list. We can supply 10 of those in volume. And so there's a series of discussions, and some of this is moving to transactions where we'll supply. You may have seen a couple of weeks ago a quantum roadmap that was agreed between Canada and France is another example. Just before we started, we had the bilateral, the President and I and President Xavier Bertrand de la Haute-France, he's the president of one of the regions. We addressed jointly a large AI conference, which there's huge Canadian participation, but it's also part of a broader relationship. So I guess it's too late for a short answer, but to try to give you a short answer is that how is it working? It is gaining real traction. You see it in the agreements we have. You see it, those translating into specific business-to-business and research arrangements that are coming forward.
I'll give you a second chance at a shorter answer for my follow-up, if that's okay. With some of the issues that will be discussed around the table, are you at all concerned that this is going to turn into a G6+1?
No, no. Is short. There'll be some issues where there are strongly held views by one of the G7 partners that are more extreme than others, and I'm not saying just one. Each of us may have examples of that. If you look at the key issues of security around the Gulf, evolution of the Gulf War, and the situation in Ukraine, the security situation and providing support, very much common objectives. How do we work together in order to accomplish? I think, yes, different approaches around AI, but I think there's a chance to have, or a possibility of having a common objectives with different complementary approaches that are there. So I'm looking forward to this summit, and I'm looking forward, as I should add as well, last point, the broader participation that will be at the summit, everyone from Kenya through to the UAE, who will be there at the broader outreach. That's an important component of this, because the G7 is not running the world. It's important, but it's not running the world. Oui. Non, je ne crois pas. Il y aura des discussions. Un des avantages, Madame, de G7, C'est des discussions très franches, très directes, fluides. Ils sont des vraies discussions. Il faut le dire, au G20, des dirigeants lisent les discours, en effet, et personne, c'est pas exactement comme ça, mais c'est largement comme ça. Et au G7, c'est plus une discussion directe, et ça, c'est un des grands avantages là. Mais je ne crois pas, j'ai aucune crainte que ce sera les États-Unis et les autres. Non, on cherche des solutions communes. Merci.
Prime Minister Alan Woods from the Toronto Star newspaper. Yesterday you were, I want to ask about the Gordie Howe Bridge.
Yes.
Yesterday you were talking about being technical issues and no big drama. But there was the Michigan Republican House leader yesterday quoted saying he wants to see a 50-50 split of the toll revenue from the beginning, right, before Canada's paid back for its costs. It sounds more like a shakedown than a technical issue. How do you characterize that? And is that something that is on the table?
Well, the individual, I didn't see the comment from the individual, but your description of the individual would not be somebody who's in the U.S. administration by definition. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Hi, Prime Minister. Kate McKenna from
Hi,
CBC
Kate.
News. What will your approach be when speaking with Donald Trump about the ongoing crisis escalation in Iran? And previously you had said that Canada was open to looking at ways to contribute to opening the Strait of Hormuz. Is that something that's still on the table? And is Canada willing to make some sort of commitment coming out of this summit on that?
Well, I just, if I may clarify, and I think I did say it this way, was that Canada is prepared to contribute, and we remain prepared to contribute to, once the strait is open, to maintaining the opening of the strait and the guarantees in and around that, and there's various ways to do that. I expect, I'm hopeful, maybe is the best way to put this, that there will be additional progress in terms of establishing a cessation of hostilities and something for the G7 and the main countries from the region, not all, but the main countries of the region, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Egypt coming to the special session for those discussions. And Canada we will look to do our part so that we can support a broader effort if the moment is presenting itself. There's still a few days to come for that. I would make a final point, which is I would just underscore the link to Lebanon, the situation in Lebanon, the war effectively in Lebanon, and the need for that to be part of the broader solution.
Vous attendez une contribution canadienne?
S'il y en a une vraie cessez-le-feu, oui, le Canada est prêt de faire une contribution avec pardon?
Dans les prochains jours?
Ouais, non, s'il y a. On ne sait pas, c'est une situation très fluide, mais il existe la possibilité. La possibilité existe, mais on verra. Okay?
Dernière question,
Merci.
last question.
Thank you. Hi, Prime Minister. Jillian Piper with Global News. The Detroit News is reporting that the Canadian officials actually called off the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge because they were worried about backlash from the Trump administration.
Not
I know
true.
yesterday.
That's not true.
Yesterday you said it was due to technical issues. What are those technical issues?
Look, it's the discussion. As I said yesterday, was at the request of the U.S. administration. We'll look to work through what issues they have. I don't think it's productive to work through those in public, and our teams are working through. I actually haven't been briefed on it today, the specifics of it. It's important we get this right. This is an asset for both countries and our people, most fundamentally, that's going to exist for decades.